Diamond never wanted to be a monster, but episode 3 shows the moment he finally becomes one. One wrong move, one hidden threat, and suddenly the quiet leader everyone trusted turns into the man no one can control. What you're about to hear is the chain of events that pushed Diamond past his breaking point step by step until the only thing left in front of him was blood, fear, and a road he can't turn back from. Diamond starts this episode standing on a thin line between order and chaos. On the surface, he looks calm, almost collected, trying to run CBI like a man who believes in strength without mindless violence. But underneath the calm face is pressure that keeps tightening, like a rope around his throat. The streets are talking, the rivals are pushing, and the people inside his own circle are starting to test how far they can go before Diamond snaps, each day built on the last. Every decision he makes gets judged, twisted, and thrown back at him. People expect him to be both the peaceful leader and the brutal enforcer, and you can see the weight of those expectations growing heavier with every scene. It's like he's being squeezed from all sides by Tommy, by the crews, by enemies he can't even see. And worst of all, by the fear that if he doesn't act soon, everything he built will fall apart. There's a moment early in the episode where Diamond hears a small piece of information, something simple, something quick, but the effect is huge. It eats at him like poison. He finds out that someone close enough to hurt him has been moving behind his back. This betrayal doesn't explode right away. It sits quietly in Diamond's mind, turning over and over, driving him deeper into a place he tries hard to avoid. A place where talking no longer works. A place where problems are solved with bullets. You can feel him isolating himself, even when he's standing in a room full of people. His eyes look different, more focused, sharper, almost cold. Not because he wants revenge at first, but because he knows what happens when weakness shows in Chicago. Weakness invites death. Weakness invites war. So he holds his anger tight, waiting, watching, preparing. And the silence that follows him becomes more dangerous than any threat spoken out loud. That the tension in the city keeps rising. Little things start going wrong. Money is late. Product goes missing. One of their street corners gets hit. To everyone else it looks like random trouble, but Diamond sees a pattern forming. Someone is testing him. Someone is trying to find the soft spots. And once Diamond realizes this, something inside him shifts. His patience, which used to be one of his strongest weapons, begins to fade. He stops explaining. He stops warning. He starts planning. This is the slow burn that leads to the violence we see later. This is the moment when Diamond stops trying to keep peace and starts preparing for war. It isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's quiet, controlled, and terrifying. Because Diamond isn't losing control, he's choosing a new path. One that will leave bodies behind. One that will change how everyone sees him. One that will make the name Diamond something whispered with fear instead of respect. This is where the killing spree begins, not with a gunshot, but with a quiet decision in Diamond's mind. A decision that the time for mercy is over. And once he makes that choice, the rest of episode 3 becomes a slow march toward blood. Diamond's shift from calm leadership to silent rage doesn't happen overnight. But episode 3 shows the exact moment everything inside him breaks. It starts with a truth he didn't want to hear, a truth that hits him harder than a gun to the chest. Someone he trusted, someone he believed would never cross him, has been feeding information to the wrong people. Not small stuff, not harmless talk, but the kind of intel that can get him killed. And when Diamond learns this, the world around him stops for a second. The noise fades. The chatter disappears. All he can hear is the echo of betrayal pounding in his head. What makes this moment powerful isn't the betrayal itself, it's how Diamond reacts. He doesn't explode. He doesn't scream. He doesn't break anything. Instead, he becomes still, almost too still. Like a storm that disappears right before it destroys everything in its path. His silence is cold, focused, and dangerous. Because Diamond isn't the kind of man who kills in anger. He kills with purpose. Betrayal doesn't just hurt him, it activates something inside him that remembers every war he survived, every ambush he escaped, every brother he buried. At first, he tries to understand why. Why would someone in his circle try to weaken him? Why risk everything? Why pull the trigger on a man who fought for his people? That search for answers pushes him deeper into the streets, into conversations filled with half-truths and small clues. He starts watching people the way a hunter watches prey. He listens not to the words they speak, but to the fear they try to hide. Diamond begins to notice tiny changes: someone avoiding eye contact, someone leaving a room too fast, someone suddenly acting overly loyal. Every detail piles up like a puzzle he refuses to leave unfinished. As he digs deeper, the mask of control he wears begins to crack, but not in the way people expect. Diamond doesn't panic, he sharpens. His movements become slower, more calculated. His tone becomes short, direct. When he walks into a room, everyone feels the tension even if they can't explain it. They sense something is changing, something heavy, something deadly. Diamond doesn't need to make threats. His silence does that for him. The turning point comes when he gets confirmation, solid, undeniable proof that the betrayal is real. A meeting, a message, a detail that couldn't be twisted or misunderstood. And in that moment, Diamond's expression turns into something the streets haven't seen from him in a long time. Pure, focused resolve. Not sadness, not anger, resolve. The kind that means someone is about to pay with their life. But here's what makes this episode brilliant. Diamond doesn't rush toward revenge. He studies the betrayal like a surgeon preparing for a dangerous operation. He thinks about the chain reaction. He knows that one wrong move could blow up the entire CBI, so he doesn't choose the easy target. He doesn't go after the first suspect. He waits for the truth to trap itself, and it does. The betrayal spreads like smoke. What Diamond learns next is even worse. The mole wasn't just talking. They were helping set up something bigger, something deadly, something that could have wiped Diamond out without leaving a trace. When this realization hits him, there's no doubt left. The man who tried to keep peace is gone. The war strategist, the enforcer, the survivor, he's back now. And he's not holding anything back. This is the moment where Diamond stops reacting and starts planning the bloodshed we see next. His eyes carry a new weight, a new fire. Not wild rage, but the calm certainty of a man who knows exactly what he must do. The killing spree doesn't happen because Diamond enjoys violence. It happens because betrayal demands a response, and Diamond refuses to die quietly. This is the chapter where the streets make their biggest mistake. They think Diamond is weak. They think they can move against him without consequences. But after this moment, after this betrayal, Diamond becomes a different kind of threat, one with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. And once he takes that first step toward revenge, episode 3 shifts into a darker, more dangerous path where every decision he makes is soaked in blood. Diamond's killing spree doesn't begin with fire, chaos, or loud violence. It begins with precision, cold, silent, and calculated. The first body isn't chosen at random. It isn't a mistake, and it isn't an accident. Diamond picks his target the way a man picks the first domino in a long chain, knowing exactly how everything will fall after it drops. The moment leading up to the first kill feels like time stretching in slow motion. Diamond moves through the city with a kind of deadly calm, almost like he's floating between shadows. He doesn't ask questions anymore. He doesn't negotiate. He's watching, listening, and waiting for the right moment to strike. And when he finds the person responsible for opening the door to betrayal, something inside him locks into place the final clue, the final sign. The final push that tells him this man cannot be allowed to leave the room alive. What makes this kill different is Diamond's mindset. He isn't angry, he isn't shaking, and he isn't fueled by pride. This is business, survival, control. As soon as he walks toward his target, the fear changes the air. The man senses it. The room senses it. Even the silence around them feels like it knows what's about to happen. Diamond doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. His presence alone speaks for him. The target tries to defend himself with excuses, lies, half-truths that crumble under Diamond's stare. Each word he says digs his grave deeper. Diamond listens, but not because he's considering mercy. He listens because he wants to confirm the truth one last time. He wants to hear the betrayal from the betrayer's own mouth. And when the man finally slips and reveals more than he intended, Diamond's expression doesn't change. Not a twitch. Not a flinch. His face becomes unreadable, like someone who made a decision hours ago and is now simply walking through the steps. The kill itself happens fast, clean, no theatrics, no dramatic speech. Diamond moves with the confidence of someone who has done this before, someone who understands that letting this person live would only bring more danger. A single action, quick, direct, ends the man's life. The sound of it lingers in the room longer than the body does. And when the final breath leaves his target, Diamond doesn't celebrate. He doesn't stare. He doesn't look back. He simply steps away like he's closing a door that should have never been opened. But what makes this moment unforgettable is what happens afterward, not the kill, but Diamond's reaction to it. Instead of relief, his face carries something heavier. Not regret, but responsibility. He knows that this is only the beginning. One death won't stop the storm. One body won't erase the betrayal. He understands that the network behind this leak runs deeper, and if he wants to survive, he must follow the blood until he reaches the source. And the streets feel the shift instantly. Word spreads fast. Someone close to Diamond disappeared. No details. No explanation. Just silence. The kind of silence that carries danger. People start watching their backs. Every whisper gets quieter. Every deal feels riskier. Even Tommy senses the change, though he can't put his finger on it yet. Diamond's energy is different now. He moves like a man who has already crossed the line and is ready to walk even farther. The first body isn't about vengeance. It's about setting the tone, sending a message without speaking a single word. Everyone who hears about it understands the same thing. Diamond is no longer playing defense. He isn't protecting his position. He's hunting now. Hunting for answers. Hunting for the next link in the chain. Hunting for the person who dared put a target on him. And as Diamond walks away from that first scene, there's a chilling calm in his eyes. Because deep down, he knows something the others don't. This death was necessary, but not enough. The fire has been lit, and episode 3 is far from done, showing how far Diamond is willing to go. The first body is only the beginning, and the path ahead is soaked in the promise of more blood. The first kill cracks something inside Diamond, but it's the second and third that show how far he's truly fallen. After that initial body drops, Diamond doesn't pause. He doesn't question himself. He moves forward with a new kind of focus, almost frightening in its clarity. It's like flipping a switch. One moment he's the man trying to hold the streets together. The next he's the man tearing them apart to expose every hidden threat. Each step he takes is calm, steady, and filled with cold purpose. Diamond isn't reacting anymore, he's controlling the game. And the city can feel it. The second target is not just another name on a list. This person represents the link between betrayal and danger. The one who quietly helped spread information like poison. They're the kind of person who thought they were untouchable, too small to matter, too far in the shadows to be noticed. But Diamond sees them. He sees through their lies, their fake loyalty, their attempts to blend into the chaos. And when he corners them, their entire mask falls apart. There's fear, shaking hands, desperate explanations. They talk fast, hoping words can save them. But Diamond has no interest in stories anymore. He's listening only for the truth buried underneath the fear. What makes this second kill even more chilling is the calmness with which Diamond handles it. There is no rush, no hesitation, no sign of guilt. He moves like someone who believes he's doing exactly what needs to be done. And in a twisted way, he's right. Every loose end he cuts brings him closer to the real threat. Every drop of blood reveals another layer of the plot that almost destroyed him. This kill is faster than the first, colder than the first. And when it's done, the message becomes clearer. Diamond isn't simply cleaning up after betrayal. He's redefining the terms of survival. But it's the third kill, the final piece of the spree, that shifts the entire episode into a different league of storytelling. This target isn't just a helper or a messenger. They're the architect. The one who set the betrayal in motion. The one who thought they could manipulate Diamond into falling apart. This person didn't just open the door to danger, they tried to build a future where Diamond didn't exist. And when Diamond discovers this, something inside him settles, like he finally understands why everything felt wrong from the start. The path to this final target is full of tension. Diamond follows clues through back channels, collects info from people too scared to lie, and pushes deeper into the streets than he's gone in a long time. He doesn't talk about his plan. He doesn't share it with Tommy. He doesn't even let his closest people know where he's going. This isn't just a mission, it's personal. It's the moment where Diamond chooses power over peace, dominance over diplomacy, certainty over caution. When Diamond finally confronts this last person, the encounter feels heavy in a way the earlier kills didn't. This target knows exactly why Diamond is there. There's no running, no excuses, no false loyalty. They sit in silence for a moment, like two men staring at the consequences of choices that cannot be undone. And for the first time, Diamond reveals the anger he has been hiding beneath the calm. Not by yelling or threatening, but through a single look, sharp, cold, and final. That look says everything. You tried to take me out. Now you face the cost. The final kill is not rushed. It's deliberate. Diamond gives the target a chance to admit what they did. And when they do, there's almost a strange peace between them. Not forgiveness, never that, but a recognition that their war ends here. One final action decides it, and the city's balance shifts instantly. With that last kill, Diamond removes the root of the betrayal, but he also crosses a line he can never step back over. When he walks away, he's no longer the leader who hoped for order. He's the kind of man people whisper about. The kind of man whose name carries weight and fear. Chicago belongs to a new version of Diamond, now unbuilt from blood, silence, and unshakable purpose. The spree doesn't just change the streets. It changes Diamond. It marks him. And as episode 3 closes, we see a man who understands the truth. Once you walk the path of vengeance, you don't return the same. Diamond may have stopped the immediate threat, but the price he paid will echo through every corner of the city and through every episode to come. Diamond's killing spree hits hard on the surface, but episode 3 becomes even more powerful when you look at the quiet clues hidden in the background. This episode is full of small moments, subtle symbols, and tiny choices by the writers that reveal where Diamond's mind is headed long before the bodies start dropping. These details aren't loud. They aren't obvious. But once you notice them, they change the entire meaning of Diamond's actions. One of the most important hidden details is Diamond's body language. Before he kills anyone, the way he stands, the way he looks at his surroundings, even the way he breathes is different. In earlier episodes, Diamond carried himself like a man keeping control, like someone trying to solve problems without violence. But in episode 3, there's a moment where his posture shifts. His shoulders drop slightly, but not from exhaustion, more like surrender. Not surrender to his enemies, but surrender to the darker part of himself that he has avoided for years. It's a quiet visual way of saying, I've tried peace. Now I do what must be done. Another subtle symbol appears in the lighting. Whenever Diamond gets closer to the truth about the betrayal, the scenes get dimmer, almost like the world around him is closing in. Rooms feel tighter. Hallways feel darker. Even outdoor scenes look colder. This isn't an accident. It reflects Diamond's emotional descent. The deeper he digs into lies, the darker his world becomes. By the time he reaches the final kill, the lighting almost swallows him. The shadows cling to him like they're becoming part of who he is now. It's a visual message. Once you enter darkness, it doesn't let go easily. Clothing plays a role too. Diamond starts the episode in lighter, more neutral colors, tones that make him look like a man trying to stay above the chaos. But as the killings continue, his colors shift. They get darker, heavier, more serious. It's like watching peace get stripped away layer by layer until only the version of Diamond built for war remains. And by the end, the color he wears matches the weight of his actions: deep, dark, and unforgiving. One of the most important hidden clues happens in Diamond's silence. Not just the moments where he refuses to speak, but the times he chooses to stay quiet even when people expect answers. Every silent pause is doing heavy lifting. It shows how he no longer trusts the people around him. It shows how he's thinking 3 steps ahead, planning something no one else can see. And it shows how deeply the betrayal cut him. Silence becomes his shield and his weapon. In episode 3, silence tells the truth faster than words. There's also a recurring theme: doors. Pay close attention to how many scenes involve Diamond entering or leaving a room. These moments symbolize the choices he's making. Each doorway represents a shift in who he is. When he steps through the door to confront his first target, it symbolizes crossing the line from suspicion to action. When he enters the room of his final target, it symbolizes stepping into a future built on blood, not negotiation. And when he leaves after the last kill, the closing door behind him acts like the final moment of transformation. He's no longer the man who walked in.